Ilya Shapiro is editor of the Cato Institute Supreme Court Review. He's with us from Falls Church, Virginia via Skype. Ilya, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So what did you make of Judge Gorsuch's comments on the record there to Senator Blumenthal, calling President Trump's remarks, quote, disheartening and demoralizing?
That's nothing new. It was Senator Blumenthal who leaked the private comment to that effect during the senatorial visit that Gorsuch made. This is about as far as he can go. He was pressed by Blumenthal and others to say more mean things about the president, but the ethical canons don't allow him to do that. I really doubt that anyone thinks that Neil Gorsuch is some sort of stooge of Donald Trump's, or that he's a Trumpian or populist judge, what have you. He is from kind of Federalist Society standard casting. I myself am a card-carrying member of this so-called far-right extremist organization, as has been called by some senators. So he is not. I wouldn't think anyone in their heart of hearts thinks that he agrees with Donald Trump on any particular thing.
Well, Judge Gorsuch sidestepped many questions from Democrats, repeatedly arguing that he doesn't want to get involved in politics. Our Jan Crawford reports that Gorsuch needs at least 8 Democrats on his side to be confirmed. Are there any particular aspects you think that he needs to stress on Wednesday to woo any swing votes?
Well, I don't know if he needs any Democrats to be confirmed. She was referring to the filibuster threshold. It's unclear whether the Democrats will try to filibuster or whether they can sustain that number, given how 10 of them are up for re-election in states that Donald Trump won next year. Nothing, certainly, no red flags were thrown up today. We didn't really learn anything that we didn't already know. We saw bits of his personality, I suppose, his humility and his humanity. Those are all good things, I suppose. But I think the senators have probably decided, unless something really radical comes out tomorrow during his testimony, however they were going into the hearing is how they'll come out.
Well, since Robert Bork's nomination in 1987, it's often been the case that Supreme Court nominees try to say as little as possible about judicial philosophy, part of a strategy to present a blank slate to the committee. Can you explain that?
Right. The Bork, who was rejected as a Supreme Court nominee, was faulted for being too candid, for saying too much about his philosophy and being rejected. It's actually, I think it was the last time where a Supreme Court nominee came up where the other party was in control of the Senate. Well, I guess under Thomas, who also had some difficulties. But regardless, the strategy has developed from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, kind of what's been called the pincer movement, where if you're asked a specific hypothetical, you say you can't answer that because it might come before your court. And if you ask for broad things, then you say, well, judges don't deal in philosophy, they deal in specifics. And so the advice is always to talk a lot and say very little. And Gorsuch certainly followed that game plan. Talked about being an originalist, talked about his deep knowledge of cases. I think nobody doubts that he's a smart and intellectual man. Some of the Democratic senators tried to probe into his originalism. What exactly does that mean? Does it mean that the Constitution is out of date for a world with the internet and airplanes and all that? And I think he beat that back. But at the end of the day, you're right. If you know this, I think this will educate the public somewhat, but certainly legal scholars or those of us that follow things closely aren't learning a lot that we didn't already know simply from reading his cases.
Well, Tuesday was just day 2 of the confirmation hearing. How do you expect this to go from here on out?
There's one more day of Gorsuch on the hot seat. He's actually still testifying as we speak right now. The committee is concluding into the late hours of the evening. They'll have a similarly long hearing tomorrow, maybe a little shorter, because the senators are going to get 20 minutes per person rather than the 30 that they got today. But who knows? They could go into a third round of 10 minutes each. But regardless, tomorrow will be it for Judge Gorsuch. On Thursday, there will be testimony from various witnesses, judges who've mentored him, with whom he's served, former clerks of his, representatives of various kinds of interest groups, perhaps people on whose cases he's ruled, will be testifying both for and against him. And that's it. We'll conclude at some point on Thursday afternoon. There's a vote in the hearing that's currently scheduled for Monday. that will probably be pushed to either the end of the week or the following Monday. I think this will be all done by mid-April.
All right, Ilya Shapiro, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.